as a very young school, I think people almost wondered in Regent's early years, is this some sort of project that Dr. Robertson in particular has launched as part of a sort of an outgrowth of the Christian Broadcasting Network? And I think that in the last 10 years in particular, people realize that Regent intends to be part of the landscape for a long, long time. You can see that we play on the word Regent in that that RE in Regent is something you see in our most recent ads. We want people to rethink Regent, to re-envision Regent, so that, you know, we tell folks, if you haven't been to Regent lately or haven't seen our catalog, talked to our students, met our faculty and staff, we'd like you to rethink that and perhaps look at us again. We see Regent aligning with schools like, say, Notre Dame and BYU, in that they were faith-based, are faith-based schools, and schools who have built such strong reputations that when people think about Notre Dame and BYU, I don't think they think of their faith alignment first. Does that make sense? I think they think of them academically first. They're academically excellent institutions. And I think that's what Regent aspires to. We don't want to diminish our mission, which is certainly linked to our Christian heritage. But we do want to lead with excellence, and we want people to perceive Regent as a school that leads with excellence, and not as some, and I think it's really a minority, Paula, who still see Regent almost like a Bible college, you know, something like that, where folks are, you know, huddled in a corner, you know, holding hands and reading Bibles. And I'm not at all diminishing the importance of that in the right context, but I think Regent has come into its own as an institution, and while both Notre Dame and BYU would be aspirational peers at this level, I don't think that's going to be true for very long. You know, Regent, for all intents and purposes, has really only been around for about a quarter century. I mean, we were founded maybe 34 years ago, but for all intents and purposes, in the last 25 years, and for higher ed, that's just, we're an infant. We're really at our infancy. And yet we've achieved a lot, and I know, you know, as a Christian person, I'm supposed to be humble, and I try to say this in humility because I've had nothing to do with it, frankly, but the truth is we do have a governor in the governor's mansion. We have competed against the top Ivy Leagues, say in law school, and won national competitions that have clearly indicated that our students can be employed at the highest levels and can have a huge impact on their culture. My own kids are at Regent, and they may be sitting in a class that takes 17 weeks in a face-to-face environment, but they're also taking a couple of online classes, and they're completing 2 online classes in the same time that they're taking for that face-to-face 17-week course. And I think they're self-selecting. They're saying, well, gosh, I'm an undergraduate business major. Do I really want to take my art history class face-to-face? I kind of do, but gosh, if I can get it done in 8 weeks, I think I'm going to do that. So we're looking at prior learning assessments as well, Paula. We think that these are of critical importance. You know, how has your learning prepared you to complete this course or this entire program of study? Is it appropriate for us to force you to sit in a class if you can demonstrate a skill set that indicates, I know it, I know it? Those are questions that Regent and all of higher ed are asking, and those are questions that we have to continue to ask because the model is shifting beneath our feet. I think that there is an increasing tendency to see higher ed as a business, and I think that it's a two-edged sword. I think there is a danger there because we're not a business. Our output is not the same. There are a lot of business principles that relate to higher ed, and we had better take note of a place like University of Phoenix, who turns higher ed on its ear to say, you think that reputation matters in this space? How about this? We have poor reputation, but we'll become the largest institution in the country. You think cost is an important factor? We'll price our classes above almost everybody in the industry, and yet we'll still become the largest university in the United States. So we had better take note of the business practices of for-profit institutions. But if we lose sight of the fact that we are shaping a citizenry is not producing a product. And I know that my folks in business and I, you know, we spar about this a little bit. Our students are not products. And we have to see them very differently. Because part of what happens is, if I'm a consumer, and that's what you're telling students, you know, you're just a consumer. So what's a faculty member then, right? Now, I paid my money. I did what you asked me. I completed the assignment. I paid my money. Now I'm a consumer, and I want the product for which I paid. And that means this grade in this class. We're seeing that more and more because we're treating students like consumers instead of young adults who are hopefully being shaped into the future leaders of this nation. So I think that we have to find this balance between what I've described as the critical importance of shaping a citizenry and understanding that if higher ed doesn't adopt appropriate business practices, we will fail. More schools will fail in the next 20 years than in the history of higher ed.